Yo. I will be back next week. I know what I said. Cue the intro. Inside my mind. Welcome back, everybody, to Mind of AK with AK Ray. I am a writing sculptor, writer, or whatevs. This week, I am taking a dive into a recent show that I became a fan of. Guillermo Del Toro's Captain of Curiosities, and making the first monster that you see on the show, Dottie. So I'm not going to do any spoilers. I'm going to save all the fun for today's sculpture. As you can see, I am doing my normal prep work this week by doing my aluminum wire and securing the, I guess, waste with floor wire. And this week there's going to be a lot of tentacles, but I still wanted it to have a core to it. So I'm adding 2 layers of aluminum wiring to the middle, and this is what will be wrapped in my base of aluminum foil and also the ultralight. There's going to be a lot of tentacles this week, so brace yourself. This project, I know I've kind of said this 3 weeks in a row. This one almost took me out, guys. I am not going to sugarcoat. This was literally an impulse project, if you could say that about any of the work that I've done. I started out in high hopes. I'll just put it out there. I was super excited when I first saw this and thought, man, I'd like to do this. I had something else totally planned. I'm not going to release what that is because I may do it this week, depending on how I feel once this is done. But we got all the prep work done, so now let's jump right into our sculpting time. And as always, my clay of choice is Super Sculpey and Original Blend. With her body now covered in clay, I'm going to make her mouth, which is a very similar process to my Black Friday creature a few weeks ago. I'm going to shape out the mouth, and then cut out some teeth using Super Sculpey Translucent and Primo Blend, push the teeth in, and then move on to my next target. If you want to see a more in-depth visual on how I did this, I would recommend watching that video, which I will happily pin in the card for you now. With all their teeth punched in now, I'm going to check the reference photo that I have. You really can't see the mouth, but I did get close as I can, and I'm comfortable with that to move on to her legs. Now the legs I do spend a bit of time on versus the tentacles that are going to be in future shots. The reason for this is outside of the tentacles, there really isn't much detailing that I can do with this piece this week, so I wanted the legs to be as detailed and as photo accurate as possible, and I think I did a pretty good job. These legs were actually really fun to do, and I really like whenever I get down to the painting part of it. The painting that I'm so excited for here in a minute. Okay, I don't want to spoil it yet, but I'm very excited for the painting this week, and you'll see why when I get to that. While I'm taking the time to detail these legs as much as I can, I want to take a moment to give voice to someone that I truly believe deserves it. I don't talk a lot about my influences or who inspires me or any of those, but I do want to say in a landslide, Guillermo Del Toro is one of my utmost biggest influences in the creative space. I love every one of his movies, TV shows, anything that has his name attached to it, I'm an immense fan of. One of my favorite movies by him will always be Pan's Labyrinth, in a heartbeat. Also, I really love The Shape of Water, and the Captain of Curiosities show as a whole, I truly enjoyed. Not just the first episode. Every episode, even though he may not have written it, you can tell his essence is all the way through the series with the myriad of directors and creative input that he had on it. I really recommend it. This isn't a review per se. Don't get any affiliation or any form of sponsorships. I just really enjoyed the show. So another reason I've been stalling on these legs is because I am petrified at the amount of tentacles I'm going to have to make, and did not take into account that before I started this. Um, as you can see, what I'm about to point out, this entire section has to be filled with tentacles, and I am scared to death of this. But I didn't want to let Mr. Del Toro down if he ever watches this video or sees that I made this. So I do get out my wire and I go head first into this so we get it done. And I think I actually did a decent job. As you can see on the film, I am poking out the holes where I believe the myriad of tentacles are going to be. I'm doing different sizes just again for dimension cases and variation. I do find a myriad of ways to do it, but I do start with my trusty drill, and I start to drill out all of the holes before I start to put in all of my wiring. Alright, we've stalled long enough, folks. So we got all the holes drilled, the wires being cut as you can see. Let's go ahead and shape out our tentacles, and this more than likely took longer than a bunch of hobbits march into a volcano. These tentacles, all wrapped in clay, baked, shaped, all of that process took over 9 hours. I'm not saying that for cloud or recognition or a pat on the back, although a pat on the back would be nice because I'm lonely. Anyway, this just took a very long time, but it was very well worth it. I'm glad I actually did this, but it did take a while. Some of the tentacles, as you can see, I wrap in aluminum foil in parts just for variation and purposes. On the show, it does look like all the tentacles are the same size, but it being brought into a three-dimensional space, I did want there to be some variation in dimension. So some of them get wrapped in aluminum foil, some of them are just a standard clay. Some of them don't even have wiring in them. I just blend it right to the piece, so that way as it drooped and sagged in the oven naturally as clay can do, it adds, again, variation purposes solely for that. And I really do like how everything lined up and was situated whenever everything was done. If you do like this character, again, I don't want to do spoilers for the TV show, but let me know what you thought of this specific episode in the comments. It's the very first episode. I forget the name of it, but I really did enjoy it. And we're actually approaching the end of it. As you can see, I do also cover up a lot of the holes with standard clay, and I put some more ropes of clay on top of that. And then put this in the oven to bake, and we're moving on to step 3 here momentarily. And this is the part I'm excited for. You're going to see here in why in a second. Oh my gosh. Alright, she is all baked and cooled down. It is now time to paint. And I'm not just painting today. I am airbrushing, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks to my friend Pat, who goes by Chef_PC. He got me this airbrush kit as a present earlier this year, and I'm finally getting able to bust it out. I cannot thank this man enough. Thank you so much, brother. Love you to death, man. Thank you for this. Now, for a lot of you probably are more astute with airbrushing than myself. This is literally my first time, so if you see a lot of things I'm doing incorrectly, please let me know in the comments. I don't want to continue to make the same mistakes. But as you can see, I'm blending out some black, and I'm going the entire base over with this black. And once everything is covered, namely the tentacles and also the legs, I'm going to go over this once it's dry with another layer of cranberry red. And these are all acrylic paints. I'm still using acrylic paints. My blends of choice this week were Apple Barrel matte acrylics. I also do use a few folk art color shift paints, and I also use one other version that you'll see later on in the video. I cannot say enough how much I love my airbrush. I wish I would have been using this a while ago. But as they say, timing is absolutely everything, and this was the right piece to start with. Not because of the amount of tentacles or the size of it, but look at the dimension with the shading with the red on top of the black. Look how lifelike it looks with this. You know, my friend told me to try to use this a while ago, and it was the right time. I am so thankful for this, and I'm very, very happy right now. As you can see, I am now brushing blue on the legs, and I take this same blue and trace it all over the piece as well. I just figured this would be a nice layer to go with the image and bring out some extra dimension into the creature. And this is actually all it is for the airbrushing once I put this blue on and we move into his mouth. For her mouth, I do a blend of burnt umber and black. Her lips get standard black, and then her teeth get a blend of off-white and a bit of yellow. Now that her mouth is fully complete, it's time to really dive into the creep factor. I'm using Fabri-Tac this week and also UV resin to give her a saliva-filled mouth and goopy webbing and entrails all across her tentacles. I'm going to take the Fabri-Tac and go from tentacle to tentacle and let the Fabri-Tac do its thing and let gravity and inertia do its job. This is something that is not done on the TV show, but I wanted to have a little bit of flair with my creative style this week, and it was a recommendation from a friend to really dive into the unsettling factor of it. I did something similar in my very first ever video where I took a bowl and made a sea beast out of it, and I really wanted to amplify that with today's piece. If you think this actually makes it look a lot more unsettling, let me know in the comments. The last final step is I take my UV resin, drizzle it all inside of the mouth, and then I take my UV light and let it harden. And once this is done, it is time for Dottie's moment in the spotlight. I think it's time we give it to her, folks. Lights, camera, and last but most certainly not least, smaction. Dottie was so much fun to make this week. All the stress aside with the tentacles, it was amazing to bring her to life. And I really want to send another shout out to my friend Pat for the immensely amazing airbrush kit that you got me. Trust me, it's going to be put to amazing use moving forward. If you enjoyed watching Dottie be brought to life by me as well, I'd encourage you to click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and set bell notifications for future updates. I've been saying the last couple weeks that I'm going to try to do a quote-unquote much tamer sculpt for my next week's video. However, this week I'm not going to say that. What I am going to say though is every week I'm going to try to do my absolute best to give you a really amazing project and deliver it to you. Because you and my audience deserve the absolute best from myself, and I want to hold myself to that every week. So if they continue to aggrandize and get larger, then so be it, because you all deserve it. With that said, I want you all to feel loved, stay blessed, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next week. Take care, guys. Inside my